Happy Wednesday, Ken.
Happy Wednesday. 'Tis the season.
Tis the season. All right, guys, here we go live. 3, 2, 1.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's raise the bar. Hey! Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars in a galaxy.
There you go, Ken. What do you think?
Too freaking funny. Too funny. Too funny. At first, I was wondering if my headphones, there was something wrong with my headphones because the beginning part sounded like, wait a minute. This is new. That was awesome.
Last night I was waiting for my 3D printer to heat up, and I had put a new head on, and I was like, I think I'm gonna mess around with this because I had to go back and check it like 20 minutes later, so I just threw that together real quick.
Oh my goodness, too funny. How the heck are you, man?
Good. How are you? Happy belated Life Day.
Happy belated.
I didn't
Life
wear
Day.
red. I see you wore red in honor of Life Day.
Yeah, unfortunately, my light globe is not charged, so I couldn't bring that with me.
Yeah. So where can people find you, Ken?
So sometimes you can find me here hanging out with you. Actually, you can find me pretty much every Wednesday here. Occasionally on the Bantha Milk podcast around the Dejeric table with Rob, David, and Tom. Sometimes bouncing across the galaxy with Todd, and even more rarely than all of those, my solo show, The Rambling Star Wars Fan.
It's like a fine wine.
Yes, it ages and it needs time to settle and breathe. How about you?
Well, here probably most of all, and helping out Zoe with Star Wars Geek Girl podcast and Karita cast. You know, once me and Safi get the urge to do another episode. Um, but yeah, mainly here. So, um, cool. So
I
we
still
have.
love that episode with you and Safi where you interviewed the actor who played Vane. That was such
Oh
a cool
yeah,
episode.
yeah, that was a fun one. That was a fun episode. Um, I got to get back in touch with him because we wound up talking 3D printers for like the next week back and forth in messages, him and I. So
Oh, that's awesome.
that was pretty fun. Um, but yeah. Um, so well, before we start our main topic, did you troop or anything since we last talked or?
Nope, no trooping, no real costuming either. Sadly enough, the weather is starting to get a little bit cooler and weirder. So I haven't been working on any because I do most of my work outside. Most of
Yeah.
the stuff is, I don't have a garage or a studio, so I haven't done anything lately. What have you been working on?
Well, I messed around with Vader a little bit more. Just runs. I ran 2 more belt boxes on my printer before it got too cold to run the resin printer. Because now, if I want to run the resin printer, I got to heat the garage. That's not. It has to be a lot of stuff that before I want to heat that whole thing. But yeah, that's it. I messed around. I'm just looking at stuff. I'm still going to finish him up. But yeah, nothing really. No troops. Though I actively and consciously now are looking into the forums for plate. Like I used to be. Probably five years ago or more. I used to actively like get home from work, look at all the troops. So I've been starting to actively look more
Okay,
at what's out there because there is a couple parades coming up. I think I missed the deadline for the Philadelphia parade because you have to turn in some kind of, I don't know, like waivers, but there's a
the
bunch of,
Thanksgiving one.
yeah. But there are some, like there's a Harrisburg parade this coming weekend, which I doubt I have a robotics tournament Friday, so I don't know what shape I'll be in. Just because we've been working late. That's why I took a nap for like right before the show because I've been up at school late every night working on these things. But I've been actively looking to see what's out there. But yeah, that's about it. And then I don't know if we had much Star Wars news other than
Not official Star Wars news, but but there's been some wackiness in social media with various people. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to any of that. But
well, I've only seen they're still going on and on about the Ben Solo thing.
yeah, there's a lot of folks that are, well, it seems like a lot of folks are trying to put some energy behind it, and it
Yeah.
seems like um, maybe within the last week or two, more folks being vocal about the acolyte.
Yeah, I did see some, it's hard to, I don't want to report on a lot of the stuff I saw about that because I didn't see anything from credible, I wouldn't say not credible sources, but they weren't quoting credible sources, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't want to be a purveyor of things that aren't somewhat verified. So,
yeah, and a bunch of new books have come out recently. So Darth Vader, Master of Evil, has come out. There was I don't know if it's a young adult book that explores a little bit of Finn's
oh yeah.
and Xana's story. Um,
Yeah, I think
and
that was like
then
a young romance or was that like,
no, there's a book coming out soon that's supposed to be Star Wars's first official romance, which is confusing to me because I've read a bunch of books within the last 2 years that I would call romances.
yeah,
And I'm surprised that they didn't. I mean, like this, I thought the Dark Disciple book, and I know that's a few years old, but I
yeah,
thought that was kind of a romance book.
yeah.
You
But
know,
it didn't
with
have Fabio on the cover.
That's true. Maybe that's what it is. It has to have a certain kind of cover to be formally and officially labeled a romance. And even the courtship of Princess Leia, I thought that was a romance.
Yeah, yeah,
And that one had C-3PO singing in it.
that's true. So now, have you watched your official holiday special yet for the year?
I haven't. I was going to do that this weekend.
Okay, because I know Zoe had a friend over and they watched it and I don't know. I don't want to spoil any Zoe scoops, but they actually went down a rabbit hole of who made the one singer's dress.
Oh,
And it
okay.
uncovered a good, because I guess her friend is like a big Cher fan and knew about, that time period and stuff. So I guess Zoe was like, she was like telling me a bunch of information and stuff, which I thought was kind of neat. So I thought that was a new rabbit hole. But I had the documentary that I watched last year for the
Disturbance of the Force.
yeah, which
Yeah,
I
I
would
plan to
highly,
do a double header or a double
yeah,
feature. I was going to watch the show, the holiday special, and then follow it up immediately with Disturbance of the Force.
yeah, that was a
That
good
was
documentary.
it was really, really good. It was so good I even bought the book. So I have
Oh,
the
okay.
video and the book.
I have the video. I didn't buy the book, but that might I'm in the mood for another good behind the scenes kind of book.
Yeah,
So,
the other rabbit hole that I've been um, found myself lost in lately is the 1985 Droids cartoon.
oh, right,
So
right.
I've been watching those episodes lately and putting pieces together for the next episode of the Rambling Star Wars fan. So, spoiler warning if you've never watched the 1985 Droids cartoon, this thing that's 40 years old. Be prepared to hear me talk about some of the things that were significant about that cartoon and some surprises that show up in modern stuff. And not to give too much away, but do you remember the movie The Clone Wars?
Yes.
Or no, sorry, I think it was might have been Revenge of the Sith, which is the one that had General Grievous's wheel bike. Was that
That was
Revenge
that was Attack of the Clone. No, that
Attack
was Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith? Yeah.
Yeah.
So General Grievous's wheel bike, that wheeled cycle, um, has it got got its origin in the Droids cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
think of Blurgs, you
Well,
know?
Blurgs were from the Ewoks
Yeah, that's what I mean.
adventure,
Like
the movies. Yeah.
like it's when they say that they're the modern Star Wars people are playing in the toy box, it's literally they're getting the old toys out, dusting them off, and like I think of just some of the weird things that show up. I mean, to me, it started with the troop transport in Rebels. With
Yeah.
the Imperial troop transport was that one toy that people got that you're like, what the crap do I do with this thing? You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Or even just the original Star Wars action figures. Most of the original figures were these background characters that didn't have names. They had nicknames and code names that got attached to them for many, many years.
Which I
Um,
think some of those names became racial slurs in Star Wars land.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, who wants to be called Snaggletooth?
Right.
That became a slur in our land. Because I can remember, in at least middle school, if not also high school, hearing kids sling that around to the other kids who
Yeah.
needed braces or whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I've been spending a lot of time, much more time than I probably should admit publicly, watching the Droids cartoons.
Right. Well, and we are on the heels of our Empire Striketh Back.
That was also so much fun.
So, and I think I even posted it up on the feed already, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
I
awesome.
think so. I could be mistaken, but for some reason, because I remember I was like, I got to get this done early because that was just so much fun. I might have been wrong about that part, but let me just check. I know it's up on our thing, but that was a lot of fun. Let me just see. Let me just see here. I might not have put it up. I thought I did, but who knows? The last week was a blur. It is on the Inflatable Falcon, so that's a good sign.
I was incredibly impressed and amazed that we were able to pull that off in a single take. No edits, no
Yeah.
redos, no rereads.
Yeah, no, it's up. It's up. Episode 175. The Empire Striketh Back.
Nice.
So it is on the feed. It is on our live YouTube. It is. So if you did not get to experience it live, check it out. And what we decide sometime in January,
Yeah.
we are going to do the second act. So those people who are listening now, I think we have someone called Stop Motion Mike. So on one of our feeds, anyone listening now, if you want to get in on the Empire Striketh Back, Act 2,
Act two. Yep.
Act 2, we will have some information coming up probably after Thanksgiving for January, for the January live recording.
Yeah.
So
And have you heard from Jim since we recorded?
I
thought
have
he did
not
a
heard
great
from
job.
Jim, but Jim was that Vader I think made us all up our game. That Vader was a really good Vader. So there's the mark to hit. The mark to hit is the Vader from the Empire Striketh Back. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. So but yeah, so check it out. It's on Spotify under the Inflatable Falcon. It's on our YouTube channel. And again, if you're on here today, remember it's hard for us to see the chats. For some reason, one of these days, Restream should probably get it together. But the chats for TikTok did not come across, and Facebook it's only about half the time. So who knows? I don't know why that is, but everything else seems to be working. I think we're on. Are we live on YouTube?
I believe so.
All right, good, because I see that we're live on Facebook and we're live on TikTok. So.
And recently, Magic Jump was that they must have had some sort of an inflatable convention or whatever.
Yes,
because
yes.
they showcased some new inflatables. I didn't see any Star Wars related ones. They were mostly sports related ones. The ones I saw.
Right. Well, it's hard to top that Falcon unless they could somehow do Mando's ship.
The Razor Crest.
Yeah, the Razor Crest. Possibly the Ghost, but they might be too deep of cuts for like your average inflatable company person.
Maybe, I don't know. The Ghost would be well. Actually, both of them. I think Rebels and Mando both had,
Oh yeah,
pretty big. I guess not appearances, but
yeah, but I'm saying that could be the two ships I could see popping out. I like the Hoth, the obstacle course that has the AT-AT.
Yeah, that was really cool. I thought that was neat. That was a cool idea. Well, I wonder if they could do a play set Dagobah, like a Jedi training kind of setup.
Just make it look like a jungle and throw a Yoda in there.
Yeah, and some vines that you have to maneuver through, or some logs that you have to jump over.
Yeah.
Or if you really wanted to get fancy, have a splashdown area, and you've got like one of those big giant snakes or whatever that sticks out of the wall.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember if that creature ever had a name.
We get they have those like generic obstacle courses where they just like but it seems like Magic Jump tries not to do overly generic. Like their licensing stuff seems to be a little better than some of the other. I don't know what the competition is in inflatables. I just look at Magic Jump. So
yeah, like they don't say like Space Warriors or Ninja Monks.
I mean, I think for little kids, as long as you can bounce into things, they don't really care what's on there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So anyway, so Ken, that's but Inflatable Falcon we did the Empire Striketh Back. So if you are interested, again, we will have stuff up. We'll try to put it up on all the links that we can find. Put it on our website. The
Maybe that's
inflatable.
something that we do more often. After we get through The Empire Striketh Back, maybe we just every once in a while we have a brief story time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they've got the golden books. They've got even if we did, one of the short stories um, from a certain point of view or whatever,
A dramatic reading.
a
I feel
dramatic
like
reading.
I feel like I need like a high back chair and like a smoking jacket.
Yeah,
Like a PBS hour.
and a fake fireplace next to
Yeah,
you,
fake
and a pipe.
fireplace.
You need a pipe.
Pipe. Yeah, pipe.
Yeah.
Like the
Jacket with elbow patches.
Yeah, that's what I need. What was that, like tweed? Was that what? Remember those
Tweed, I
jackets?
think. Yeah,
Tweed with the
yeah.
yeah.
The contrasting elbow patches.
Oh yeah, the 80s and whatever that was. But yeah, that would be neat. I mean, because I was thinking like I when I was making the new intro, I was just throwing the music on the intro song because I think my mindset was in the mindset of, hey, I should make bumpers because there's a couple things I want. I want bumpers between our segments,
Okay.
and I still want live commercials that we make for things we like.
Yeah.
Okay, you and me know at the 15-minute mark, we throw our commercial bumpers on and we can go get a drink or
Yeah.
dance around, whatever we want to do. And then it just keeps us focused. Then we can, do our news segment and do our
Costume corner.
costume corner, trooping, hopefully more coming soon. So we'll see. That's the plan. But then I usually just get sidetracked and I do add a new sound to our already existing trailer, and then I get I still miss the other song, but I was like, oh, let's just, and we probably won't get any copyright violations this week.
Yeah, this week. Yeah.
I won't get any list of cannot be played in here, and here, which is always weird.
Yeah, because that was a homegrown one. Our friend Artie Intelligence helped.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm just giving I'm giving you the credit for the prompting of that one. So but anyway, so our main topic today, Ken, it's Life Day, kicking off the holiday season. What's our topic today, Ken?
So what I figured we could do is we could talk about the excitement that we had as kids looking into the holiday season, because you and I are of a similar age where there were the Sears catalogs and the Toys R Us catalogs and did you have service merchandise around
Service
you?
merchandise, yep.
And I still to this day don't understand how that worked or where it went.
Well, did you ever go to a service merchandise store?
Yeah.
So in the one near us, there was everything in the store was display. If you went into the store and you got a little tablet and you wrote down what you want and you give it to the person, you paid, and then you stood at the end of the store and this conveyor came up from the basement and your stuff came up on the conveyor. I don't know why they did it that way, but that's, I always assumed when I was a kid was because then they didn't have to hire as many people. Because when I was a kid, like if you worked in Sears, like if you walked out of the shoe department and into the toy department, you talked to a whole totally different person. Like it was like they were like
department.
They were like the police from Dukes of Hazzard. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't cross that line. Those pesky kids just came out. But people made like a living. Like you made a living just being a shoe salesman at a Sears store. Like you supported a family. And so as a kid, I just always thought it was a store that just didn't have as many employees. But I remember service merchandise was always our last resort because I believe it was more expensive.
I can't remember if it was more expensive or not, because I just remember that they had a catalog.
Yeah.
That you could sift through, day after day after day, circling the things that you wanted or put it next by the thing that you really, really wanted. You had 4 things circled, but the one with the X next to it is the one that you really wanted.
Well, now, so what in you growing up, when all the catalogs started coming, what was your premier catalog as a kid? What was your favorite one?
I definitely think it was the Sears one because it had so many things in it. You could find the bed sheets and the action figures and the underoos and all of that kind of stuff. Whereas Toys R Us, was just the toys. The Sears catalog just seemed bigger.
Yeah, see, we got the Sears, Pennies, occasionally service merchandise, and that's the only ones when I was a kid, I never saw, because we didn't have any Toys R Us around here when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Toys R Us didn't show up until they probably didn't show up till the mid 90s or something, or maybe even early 90s. But I was like, I was growing up then. But and we had a Kitty City,
Okay.
but there was no catalog. But Sears and Pennies and service merchandise, and I always liked I went back and forth between Sears and Pennies. Pennies their catalog wasn't as good as Sears when I was a kid, but they had much better toy display in Lancaster. Like
In the actual store.
in the store. And what I liked about, my grandmother had one of the old Pennies charge cards, like when we were growing up. So if it was in the Pennies book, you had a better chance of getting it. Because my grandmother, because we had Kmart too, but Kmart, if you wanted something, my grandmother would lay it away. Like we would, for those, like we would go shop. If you knew you were getting something at Kmart, is if we would go shopping, and they used to have like a little restaurant in the back of a Kmart. You'd park your carts like right.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yes, it was like in the Kmart, you would park your cart like right there. And I knew my grandmother was buying us something because she would take us there and we get like a hot dog, and then she'd have to go away for a minute. So you knew she was going down to the layaway to grab what you wanted and put it in the layaway. So that was the big thing for us. But I think it was a toss up between Pennies and Sears. I just remember Pennies had the giant, and I wasn't even a big He-Man fan, but they had a giant He-Man display. It was a giant plastic enclosed box with Castle Grayskull and all the figures on
Did
it.
it have Snake Mountain with it too at some point?
No, this was before Snake Mountain. This is when they first came out, like before the cartoon or anything. Because I was in my Star Wars stuff, but right at the end, that He-Man started, like it had a giant display.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't, my younger cousin was a big He-Man fan. He-Man wasn't really I just liked looking at the display because all the figures were open and, on a display.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Sears, that was my. So what was your first Star Wars toys?
My first Star Wars toys, I can remember having a Darth Vader and a Luke with the lightsabers in their arms. I had a couple Ewoks, and the only vehicles that I remember ever having, and this is not Star Wars, but it was Return of the Jedi. They were also with the Ewok toys. I had an Ewok Village and the ATST that had the button on the back. So when you push the button, it made the legs move.
Yeah. And you had to lock it so it would stand. Remember, it had like a lock, so it would stand.
Yep. Because if not, especially if you played with this at all, the joints would get super loose.
Yeah.
But those were the ones I had. And one of the challenges for me growing up, my parents were divorced when I was young. So they got divorced when I was 5. So we had spend time at my dad's house, spend time with my mom's house. And we weren't allowed to bring the toys back and forth.
Oh, okay.
So at my mom's house, it was G.I. Joe and He-Man. At my dad's house, it was Star Wars. So that was, I only could play with my Star Wars figures there. At my dad's house, sometimes, don't tell him this, but I would sneak a couple of the figures home with me to my mom's house and sneak some of the G.I. Joe figures to my dad's house.
That's funny.
How about you? What were some of your first toys?
Well, see, because I went from the big G.I. Joes. So it wasn't, I was pretty young, but my neighbor who was about 7 or 8 years older than me, his mom gave my grandparents a half of a refrigerator box stacked full of G.I. Joe, what were those Western guys that like you could break a wall with something West, Johnny West?
Johnny West, I think.
Have you ever held one of those? There's more plastic in one of those than like an entire line of Star Wars figures. They're just solid plastic. So I remember one day going to the store. I was a big Star Wars fan, and I saw Micronauts because there was no Star Wars figures. So I started getting into Micronauts because they were cheap. They were like 99 cents or something like that. And then when the Star Wars figures hit, my first ones were, I don't know how this happened, but I wound up getting Chewie, 2 Jawas, and a land speeder. That was my first Star Wars figures. I don't know if that was all that was available or if that, and it drove my grandmother nuts that the Jawas cost the same as Chewie. Like she was like, well, this one's really tall, like, and they were all $1.79 or something like that, or $1.59 or something. And that was my first. So like Chewie and the Jawas flew around on the land speeder and fighting with the Micronauts. And if you ever had Micronauts, you can break them just by looking at them really hard. So that was my
Well,
first.
it's funny because a lot of the not a lot of, but in one of the early episodes of the forces behind Star Wars, we got to interview a couple of the early guys from Kenner.
Yeah.
And they used to joke around saying that they when people asked them what they did, they would say things like, "Oh, we're in the landfill business," because those toys were so inexpensive, and to a certain degree, like you said, cheaply made. They broke easily, or they weren't necessarily meant to last.
Well, and you know what I think the Star Wars figures, which I don't think they get credit for enough, was so when I was growing up, we had Mego. The Mego figures.
And they were in between the Star Wars figures and the G.I. Joe figures. They were like the 8-inch figures.
Right. We had Mego and we had Lone Ranger had a really good Ideal made a Lone Ranger series, which is about that same size. But the downside to all those figures, like the Mego figures, they were put together with elastic. If they got wet, the elastic would snap or stretch out. You all of a sudden playing, Superman's arm falls off, and once one arm fell off, it was connected with a rubber band to the other arm, and depending on which ones you got, like some of the older ones, it was like a big circle of a rubber band. So once one limb fell off, they all fell off. And the Lone Rangers, they were really cool. They would hold pistols, but the wrists would break off. Because I remember my grandfather taking a cigarette lighter and melting the end of Lone Ranger's arm and sticking the hand back on. And I think when the Star Wars figures hit, it was the first one where you could play all day, and those figures, you weren't breaking them. Like, I mean, they weren't overly posable, but they were like the Johnny West, like Johnny West figures never broke, but they were like I think that was the durability factor was so nice because it was hard to, like, I remember getting a Mego Aquaman when I was a little kid. First thing I went home, filled up the tub and started swimming with the tub. His arms and legs fell off because the elastic got too wet and then snapped. And like my grandmother wasn't going to buy me a new Aquaman. Like they were like a $3 or $4 figure, and those other figures, they just lasted forever. Like I rarely saw, especially the first line of New Hope stuff. You rarely saw any of those get broken. Like the worst thing happened was the lightsabers got beat up, the ones that slid in their arm.
Yeah, either got beat up or lost.
Yeah.
That was probably more of a concern than getting beat up. And then, even though they didn't necessarily break, from making them, pivot at the hips and stuff to put in the speeder or stand up, sit in the seat or stand up, the joints would get loose.
Yeah.
So after a while, they wouldn't stand straight anymore.
3PO was the worst. Okay. Because I think his joints counted on the paint not being cracked. And 3PO was pretty much the worst. I would say 3PO and R2 took the worst wear because R2 was just that giant sticker. Yeah. And the plastic capes and all that, they didn't, but I'm saying they were just so durable comparatively and price wise to what you got because they were so inexpensive.
Yeah, we're talking a couple bucks. Even if my memory serves me right, and I'm learning as I get older, it doesn't. Even the ships weren't that wildly expensive.
No.
I think the Slave One ship might have been $20, maybe.
Right.
Whereas you look at like was it the USS Flag or whatever, that 8 foot
Yeah,
eight
yeah,
foot battle station aircraft carrier. That was, I think it might have been like $200 back then.
yeah, yeah.
So it was reasonable to get these things, or I say reasonable now, but um,
Well, I still wonder if if you do a comparison chart on it. So like let's see, one 159 is what I paid for a figure, right? 159 in 1978. So here, if I do the dollar conversion thing, right? Now, again, you got to remember also, this is sometimes it's always a little low because we didn't have credit like we do now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But 159 was 790 in today's dollars.
yeah, they're definitely more expensive than that now.
Right. But I'm saying if you go to what's that new line of the not overly posable? What are they, like, $10 or something like that? $12?
Probably 15 if I had to guess,
Okay. That's
because
not
even the 3 3/4 inch figures now are $20+.
yeah, that's a little much. But that's because kids don't buy them.
Yeah.
If kids were playing with them, they would be cheaper. Because I think when the girls were little, I think I think at Target they were like between $5 and $7 during the Clone Wars, I think, is what they were.
Yeah, it wasn't until they put out the 6 inch figures that the prices on the 3 3/4 inch figures just jumped up.
Yeah.
I think I would say astronomically, but I know that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but still, $20 for a 3 3/4 inch figure, I think is a little much.
Yeah. Yeah, because when the Black Series first came out, it was what, like $20
Yeah.
for the Black Series or something, like
Yep.
18 or something like that. So
And now 35.
so what year did you start getting Star Wars toys like that you remember?
Probably 83. That's when I really remember getting it, because I was only 2 when the Force, or sorry, when A New Hope came out.
Yeah, see, that's when I got out of the figures around that time. Like, I didn't really get many. I had a few, but not many Return of the Jedi figures. I just, my last figure I remember being excited for was my mail order Boba Fett. That was just because the price had gone up, not a lot, but to my grandparents and something like that, it was up to over like 250 and stuff. Like 199 seemed to be my grandmother's
The limit.
the limit, yeah. Because Ben Franklin, the store Ben Franklin they sold them too, but they were always just a little higher, and that seemed to, for some reason, just bugged her when it was more than $2. So what was your what was your wish list, dream list toy, and like that first time you're looking at the catalog that you didn't get? So I know you might have got one you really wanted, but what's the one that you never got that you just like really wanted?
This is going to sound somewhat silly, and that's okay, because that's the kind of show we have. Did you ever see the advertisement for the Return of the Jedi swing set?
Yes, it's like an Endor base.
Yes.
Yes.
So it had a swing on it, but it wasn't the swing on a chain. It was swing on poles that was in the shape of a speeder bike, and then it had, from what I remember, like a tower that you could climb into. That was the one thing I wanted so badly, but never got.
So let's say you had a place to put it, and you saw that on Facebook Marketplace. What would be your maximum price you'd pay?
$100.
$100? Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those are out there. That seems like one of those things that, like, there's either a whole bunch sitting somewhere that no one ordered, or they just didn't make many because no one got them.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't see lots of people, talking about that. They're usually about the either the action figures or even some of those weird collectibles, like the was it the Franklin Mint plates
Oh yeah.
and those kind of things. Like,
Yeah.
I was never, and I still am not at this point in my collecting career interested in those kind of collectibles.
Yeah, well, the Franklin Mint is a funny thing because there's a podcast called Sword Quest. I don't know. I have to look it up. Talks about the Franklin Mint and how they used to make stuff and do that stuff, and that's a rabbit hole that is fun to listen to. just the shenanigans that went on in the Franklin Mint when they made stuff. So, because the Franklin Mint down in Philly here, it closed down probably 5-6 years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it used to be right across from the original Wawa farm, the factory that made like the original. It used to be right across the road from there. Now it was knocked down a couple of years ago, probably like right before COVID knocked down the whole Franklin Mint.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that I didn't even know it was an actual place. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it was. Well, they're the what I don't. It was somehow related to the actual mint that makes money for the United States government, but the whatever branch that did all the extra stuff. I'm gonna have to find that Sword Quest podcast for you. You might get a kick out of that.
How about you? Was there anything on your list that you really wanted but never got?
I wanted the the two main things that I never got. Now I've gotten copies of them since then, but when I was younger, I wanted the Vader's TIE Fighter, and I wanted the Millennium Falcon, and neither that was like asking for a real car. I mean, I think the Millennium Falcon cost more than my first car. You know what I mean? Because I think I paid like $35 for my first truck. So,
Yeah, I didn't get the Falcon either. That would from a toy perspective, that would have been one that I would have wanted as well.
yeah. But and when the AT-AT came out, that was another one of those ones that I just thought was so cool, and I picked up one of those. The Falcons. Now the Falcons, I'm not as impressed with as much now because I have that really giant one that came out, in the late, was that 2010s or something?
Maybe, yeah. It was definitely before the sequel trilogy.
It was like Clone Wars era. The real big one, wasn't it, in Clone Wars era?
Yeah, I think so.
After having that one, and I have one of was it Power of the Force, which was just a repaint of the original.
Well, was it a repaint and didn't they add electronics to it or no? Or was that with the big one?
The big one has the big electronics. Like it has the glowing engines and all kinds of sounds. I think the Power of the Force one is almost a 1-for-1. Like I don't think there's anything extra in it. It's just some updated stickers maybe.
Okay.
But after seeing that big one, it's funny because if you want to talk about toys, that Millennium Falcon toy was used as reference sketches way more often than it should have been. Because when you see a lot of the pictures of Falcons, like on book covers and posters and stuff, they have that misscaled cockpit, and then when you see the real thing, you're like, wait, that looks a little off. And like, no. But yeah, I would, I mean, I like the Slave One. The cool thing about Slave One, remember, it came with Han Solo in carbonite.
Yeah, like a black, like molded plastic thing. Yeah.
I mean, any of those.
Well, and that one. So one of the things I think was really, really cool about the toys, the Kenner toys specifically, is they encouraged the storytelling. They encouraged them to be played with. Even the Slave One, on the back of it, it had a handle built into it, so you could literally run around the yard like you're flying this thing.
Yeah. Well, I had one. So when I had my comic book store, guys would come sell me Star Wars toys for like whole boxes for like $25. And so I would buy them, and some I would resell. But I had a Slave One for a while that I just had hanging on my wall. I just on that handle. I just put a loop on a hook and hung it right on that handle. And then we used to, the Ewok Village. Do you have a Ewok Village now?
I do. Yep.
Have you ever seen the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves?
Yeah.
We used to find those at yard sales and buy the greenery because they came with greenery on them, and then you would stick it on top of the Ewok Village because it was just a copy. I think it was just the mold of the Ewok village, which
Yeah,
is
there
kind of,
was that one, and I think it was it the wasn't it like a battle tank or something that they made that was also repurposed for
oh yeah, it was the
Star Wars?
Ewok. It was the Ewok battle, like the battle tank. They
Yeah,
it was just
battle
like
ram.
some yeah.
Wasn't in the movies anywhere.
No, I'm surprised they didn't make the hang gliders too, just for the hell of it. Just have a
Well, they did make the hang gliders
no,
later.
but I mean for Robin Hood.
Override.
I was just right. I just paint that up too. No one's gonna
Yeah.
know, you know. So yeah, that's. I mean, I used to look at the old Tome Arts guide in the '90s. I had one of the big thick Tome Arts guides. It just had lists and lists and pictures of all the Star Wars toys and any of those figures. Like I'm looking above my head, I see like Hammerhead. He was one of my favorite figures. I think he was one of my favorite when I was younger because he stood up easily. He
Yeah,
had
'cause
those weird feet.
had really big feet.
Yeah, because that was the nightmare of playing with any of those figures is them standing up.
Especially later on with like the Clone Wars figures, because
Oh,
those were built on non-anatomically correct, sketches. So you had these rail thin legs, like whether it was Padme or even some of the original clone troopers, their legs and feet were so small that they didn't stand up well at all.
yeah, we used to just get blobs of clay and stand them in clay when we were making big, armies and stuff. And then, yeah, it was. I mean, the figures alone, those vintage figures. I always wanted uh, I think it was they made a R2D2 and a land speeder that were sonic controlled. Remember, it made a click and it just turned to the right or something.
Yep.
It wasn't really remote control. It just made a. I always wondered one of the lightsabers you swung. I don't even know if that was a Star Wars one or a knockoff. It had the holes cut in it.
No, I
And,
think it was a real thing because
and
they
it,
also had a version of that where it was legitimately a flashlight handle
yeah,
that
yeah,
you inflated a balloon and inserted the balloon into the handle because it had a ring that was near the bulb part,
yeah.
and so it created a cup, and
Oh,
you'd
okay.
insert the long balloon into that, and the light would shine through the balloon.
Because I know like Woolworths had them like umbrellas at the end, and you would pull it out, and it would make a like a when you swung it, you had to swing it really hard, and it made a like a whooshing sound.
And on the outside, because you had to swing, like you said, swing it really hard,
Yeah, yeah.
not made for swinging around in the house.
Well, and it was funny because like everything, there was so many Star Wars knockoffs. Like I had it was like he looked like Darth Vader, but he wasn't. He just was all black, and
Space World or something like that.
it had a droid that had like treads and a plus and a minus arm. Because I don't know if they were out before Star Wars or they were just cheaper. You know, yeah, there was some doozies coming out. So now,
And everyone really, hugely jumped on that s- that bandwagon of the action figures and Space Wars or Space Battle or
when you
you
had
know,
Buck Rogers came out at that time and Battlestar Galactica. Do you remember when Power of the Force came out?
yes.
Um, what was your first? Do you remember your first Power of the Force
Well,
figure?
I didn't have any of those. I
Oh,
remember them coming out, but I was out of toys at that point.
yeah, I was a little bit back into collecting then. I was driving truck at the time, and so I would stop at these stores at lunchtime just to go look at the figures because I remember the first ones. I would say my adult era of buying figures was the Bendums.
Oh, that's funny.
The Bendums is what kind of woke my eyes up to wait a minute, there's more Star Wars and it was the R2D2 Bendum because he looked pretty good and he had the third leg. So I was like, oh, so I bought him to stand with my other figures. And then not soon after the Bendums came out, you had those little metallic ones that came out. There was like Luke, Han, Chewie. I think there was a storm, and the bases kind of all locked. They didn't lock together, but they lined up
Were
together.
those the Click Heroes or
No, these
something
were
like
just these weren't even toys. They were just like little metal
statuettes?
statuettes, and the box was the same color as remember the booklets that used to come in the old Star Wars toys?
Hmm.
They were like those. It was that same color scheme. And I just remember getting those because I was like, oh, these are cool. I found a stormtrooper and stood it around. And I probably still have a stormtrooper floating around.
One of the things that was cool about the toys then, so let's say you bought a Star Wars carded action figure.
Hmm.
You flip it over on the back and it gave you the pictures of like the entire line,
Yeah, yeah,
and if you got a ship or a play set or something, it had the little catalog in there with the other things on there. Even I can't remember when it was, but some of them even had, it turned those pieces of material, the marketing material, into a checklist.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got to get this, and you got to get this, and even I remember some of the commercials were like, "You got to get them all," kind of thing.
yeah,
Before Pokemon started saying that,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, they had that, and then they had and then I remember when the Power of the Force came out, I was a little put off by their muscly, but it was just cool. Like I mailed in for my Han Solos from Fruit Loop cereal or whatever it was, and then they went a little weird when they got. Remember when they hit their 300th figure or 500th figure? It was Boba Fett or something. Remember that they made a special, but he was in a weird pose. Like you knew that's when they to me when the action figures started to go downhill was when they started making these action figures that you knew you couldn't really play with. Like his arms were
yeah,
posed in a way that
and or the stance, and then there were some, and it even continued into the Force Awakens, where you would get these accessories that weren't in the movies
right.
and were so outlandish. Like I remember there was a Boba Fett that had like this additional, not a jet pack, but like a wing pack
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the wings came out and it had these big guns that almost made him into like a transformer
yeah.
kind of
Well,
thing.
they did make the Star Wars Transformers too.
Yeah, I won a Darth Vader Death Star
Oh,
transformer
nice.
at a raffle one year.
Yeah. So what's your modern toy? Like what's the holy grail toy now that you would want?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. This I would love to have the space for the Lego Cantina set
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
because that's pretty big, and it takes a while to build, so it becomes like a project or whatever. Um, but in terms of the action figures and all that kind of stuff, I don't really have one anymore, unfortunately. Um, but I think that would be a toy that I would absolutely want to get and have the space to put it together and display it and things like this. How about what would be on your list?
Well, now that you say Legos, I think back like when I see those people with Lego rooms that it looks like a train table, like
Yeah.
like a town.
Yep.
If they made a Star Wars set like that I could set up a whole town, that would probably be the one. Um, I don't know. I go back and forth on the Ghost. Like I wished I would have got in on
The
the Ghost,
HasLab Ghost.
HasLab Ghost. But the other one that I think like if I wanted to get like we got Lego Death Star here. I think I forgot to turn these on. Let me see. I think I think I'm kind of like you. Like I can't think of any. The one thing I wished I would have somehow been able to get a hold of was they made a Lego life size Captain Rex for display only. And I remember when they were closing down Toys R Us, my cousin was a manager at one. And he's like, yeah, there's one here at a warehouse is probably just going to go into a dumpster. And I wished I would have just followed through and said, wait, what? Where? You know, because I just remember seeing that it was the Rex in the Clone Wars stance, with his one pistol up, and
Yeah.
it was 6 foot tall, that
So here's
or that Jar Jar. Does that count as a toy? That giant Jar Jar you and I went to look at?
well, it's just
It's a giant action figure.
yeah, it's a giant action figure. I mean, it's no different than the life size Hot Toys, or what are they? Are they Hot Toys? Gentle Giant or
Gentle
whatever.
Giants, yeah.
Both of those where I mean, Heather and I went to a display in New York City. It was called Fans Strike Back,
Oh yeah, I remember when you went to that. Yeah, yeah.
and it was essentially just these, I don't know if it was two guys or more, but it was just a couple of Star Wars fans who got put all their collections together in this giant space set up like a museum.
Hmm.
And they had a lot of their things were those Hot Toys, there's another brand that makes those collectible statues, and they had some costumes and stuff like that, but it was mostly those statuettes, and those things are, several $100s a piece. And then there's the ones that are life size. So that Jar Jar Binks would very easily, count as an action figure. Not going to change my answer to that.
Well,
Now that
yeah.
you
So
say it
now,
out loud.
so if we're talking toys, we're losing, Star Wars Insider.
Yeah, which makes me very, very sad.
But hang on a sec. So I do have a toy catalog we can look at real quick. So did you get Star Wars Insider mailed to your house?
For a little while, yes.
So I do, and then so if you got it mailed to your house, you got an email saying they were closing down, and I had to call them and find out when my subscription ran out and to see if I could get up to the last one. So I got mine, so I get up to the last one. But remember this?
Oh my goodness. That's
So
awesome.
this used to be in Star Wars Insider. And so I don't know what year this is from. I would my guess would be mid 90s, maybe 20th anniversary of Star Wars, so 97, right? 97.
Yeah.
But so here, look here. Han and Carbonite or Life Size Stormtrooper, 1997. How much do you think the Han and Carbonite is?
$179.
$1,200.
I was way wrong.
Stormtrooper now, deluxe Stormtrooper prop. And it's not even a good one because I'm looking, well, it is, but it's made by Don Post. To me, it's fiberglass, 6 feet tall, but it looks like this one kind of looks like Return of the Jedi, probably the least favorite of the Stormtroopers. What do you think that one cost? In
$1,150.
$4,995.
You're lying.
This was so.
What?
That's well, but see, that's what people. This is 97. This is like the infancy of the internet. This is, but now here's where it's weird. So, Luke and Han's jacket, right? So Luke's jacket. What do you think that costs?
Yeah, $279.
79.
Oh, I got the 79 right.
Han's vest is only 59. That's what I'm saying. Like it's weird how things have changed price wise. Like now, if you went to buy a Lucasfilm shirt like that, you're probably going to pay a good bit for that.
Yeah.
And the armor, it just went the other way.
Well, how much was the life-size Stormtrooper at Home Depot?
Yeah, right. That was only $250.
And I know it's not the same as the Gentle Giants, Hot Toys,
Right.
whatever, but still.
A Don Post Darth Vader deluxe mask. Don Post, remember, and there's a Don Post
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. And honestly, that I've never seen a Don Post helmet that looks like that. That's a very, but the Vader's 1,100 for the helmet.
The helmet's as much as Han Solo and Carbonite?
Yeah, and the Boba Fett is $995. So it's just it's weird. So and then here's the Don Post, the poor man's masks right here.
Oh yeah.
I had that Stormtrooper, man, and I used to think that was like the greatest thing ever. And man, I look at it now, I'm like, holy crap. But there on your Christmas list, $58 for the Vader, 72 for Boba Fett, 72 for Emperor's Royal Guard, and 72 for the Stormtrooper. So there's some nice shirts though.
Yeah, I love those designs. So
But yeah,
here's a
these,
business idea.
huh?
Here's a business idea. So
What's
I mentioned this fan strike back kind of place.
yeah.
There's a lot of empty real estate out there, lots of stores and malls and everything. What if we rented one of these spaces? Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Very similar to vintage stores where it's one location, but it has different different sections that are managed by different people or set up or organized by different people. And instead of us necessarily selling things, and I do have an idea for things that we could sell in this place, but it would be a place where folks keep their collectibles for other people to see, like a museum, a display piece. We could call it the cargo hold.
There you go.
And so they rent space from us to display their stuff. We charge an entrance fee for folks to come in to see all of these things on display. And then embedded in this place is a space where we could do either exhibitions or demos. Like, let's say somebody wanted to learn how to build a diorama for their 3 3/4 inch figures.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Where you could come in and walk out of there with a Hoth hallway scene to take home and put on your bookshelf.
It's not a bad idea.
Because I mean, let's think just between you and me, how many folks do we know?
Oh yeah.
Is it the Skyhopper?
Yeah, as I was gonna say, there is a Skyhopper. It doesn't. It's a Kenner's Skyhopper for $25. Not to mention the applause line of figures too. I still have that Tuscan. So yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, how many people do you think that have not necessarily a gigantic collection, but enough where they can't display all their stuff at one time?
Yeah. Books are really
book nooks.
Book nooks.
Yeah, so those are little dioramas that fit on a bookshelf that are either skinny and go long, that go into the bookshelf.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or they stretch.
I'm glad the crazy Hungarian found this.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah. But yeah, that was the random thought I had in my head driving home on Monday night on Life Day.
That's not. I mean, it's because it's nice to share collections. Like so we're getting off of our Christmas theme, so those are coming late. We were talking about all the stuff we wanted, and we've slowly just evolved into talking about Star Wars stuff. But I've been redoing my basement, and I've been looking through, like, over the years, I've collected so many like 501st member cards.
Yeah.
And so I started putting them in binders so people can page through them. And I have so many like challenge coins, and because I like when people come down and get to look at things, get to see things. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I would challenge anyone that has read even the Star Wars Insider. Just grab a stack that you have at home and just look at the covers.
Yeah.
And then some of them have multiple covers. Like some had up to 3 covers for one issue.
Yeah, because there was the subscription cover, there was the bookstore cover, and then there might have been even like the comic book store cover.
Yep.
Just like not Empire magazine, but there was another. Entertainment Weekly would often do that, especially when a new thing came out. So whether it was Ahsoka or Rise of Skywalker, they'd often have a couple different covers.
Well, I know in comic books in the olden days, like a grocery store comic would have a barcode. down on the front, where a comic book store didn't have a barcode on it. So depending on what year you bought it, like if you bought a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man in the 80s, if you bought it at a grocery store, it's the same cover, except there's a barcode. If you bought it at a comic store, where that barcode is, there's a little box, and Todd McFarlane would do an additional piece of art
Oh, that's
in
cool.
that box, or some of them they just wouldn't have it, you know. So yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff out there that we have. Like I'm just looking in this room of stuff I have that some stuff that's not even like I don't want to say real stuff, but I have like the Starry Night print that I won at one of Caden's food drives that I won for a trivia contest, you know, and we have the poster from the Han Solo Chronicles. You know, I have a caricature of one of the troops we did years ago, and it's me as a stormtrooper, another guy as a stormtrooper, another guy as Vader, another guy as a snow trooper or AT-AT driver, and my two girls as Jawas. You know, like that's just artwork that's only in my house. You know, that would be neat for people to see.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff specifically could be displayed collectively, meaning your art, my art, so and so's art could be just literally on this long stretch of wall.
Yeah. Well,
And at the bottom there could be a little nameplate that says, you know, owned by Mike Hinton, you know, or from the Mike Hinton collection.
yeah. 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 That would be a fun. That would be a fun. That would be the business to have in 2027 and the 50th anniversary, to ramp up towards the 2027 50th anniversary. I don't think I'm going to survive 2027 just because I'm hoping it's like 1977 with Star Wars fever when I was a kid, like where you were just tripping over Star Wars stuff, but it was so new.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a unique experience because there's going to be the desire to be nostalgic and go back to that time, and they're going to be doing the new stuff. So for instance, the rumor I heard is that A New Hope, this movie that came out in 1977,
Yes.
is going to be released in IMAX. So, and IMAX didn't exist in 1977.
Right. But lucky for us, George shot everything really well.
Well, not only did he shot it really well or shoot it really well, he saved everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the Scholastic book orders, absolutely.
Well, so I'm a teacher. So when the Scholastic ones came out, when Zoe was little, they came, and I used to get the Scholastic book orders for my students, right? Well, they had a Star Wars subscription set that came with a Darth Vader case, and you could keep all your books in the Darth. So I had that for the longest time. Oh yeah, the Scholastic books, all that's where a lot of the kids got their first Star Wars, you know, like because they used to do like Learn the Planets with C-3PO and R2-D2 and stuff
math
like
and
that.
science.
Yeah, math. Well, they did a whole you could buy it on Scholastic. They did a whole series of computer games. And the one was like Java, or no, it was, yeah, I think it was Java's, something with Java, and it taught you math and stuff like that. It was pretty neat. But yeah, so IMAX New Hope is going to be phenomenal.
Well, on top of that, Star Wars Celebration will be in California. So
Lucas
in the United
Museum.
States,
Lucas
you know,
Museum.
a year after Lucas's museum opens up.
September 22nd is when it opens up, right?
Yeah,
So,
a little over a year. A
Inflatable
little less than a
Falcon.
year, sorry.
Inflatable Falcon, we have applied for our press credentials already. I did that this week.
For Celebration?
No, for the Lucas Museum.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry.
I just went on their press thing, and it was like, I was like, okay, well, I'll fill this out, and I filled it out for Star Wars Geek Girl too. I even did the Inflatable Falcon first this time, so that's growth for me.
Wow.
I don't know what that means. It probably means I'm just going to get more junk email about it opening, but
yeah, but you're getting junk email directly from them.
Lucas Museum, yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be 2027 is going to be a good. It's going to be a good year. I'm going to make sure I save all my sick days up for that.
Yeah. I'm attempting to convince Heather to take either 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. You should. I wonder. I wonder what position my 20 some years teaching could get me at the Lucas Museum. I wonder if there's a
You could be a docent,
what is that?
like a tour guide.
Oh yeah, I that would be a fun. So I am. I'm looking forward to that museum. Just besides all his Star Wars stuff, everything else he has sounds pretty cool too.
Well, yeah, and
Comics
Star
and
Wars is only is a fraction of it.
yeah.
Which going back to this this department store makeover idea, we could have an entire section within that area where it's like a book nook, because there's all the novels, there's all the comic books, all of the magazines that have been, and I'm not even talking just the Star Wars Insider or Bantha Tracks, the official Star Wars stuff. There are things like Before and After or Starlog or American Cinematographer, where
TV Guide.
TV Guide, where they would do articles about Star Wars, and that's one of the things I never thought I would have collected or started collecting, is that um, magazines that have articles related to Star Wars. He's saying that you could, as a tour guide.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I was reading that. It was
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah, Sue's saying that as a tour guide, that's what you'd be walking backwards. We are walking.
Well,
we are walking.
See, I am tempted. So I'm tempted to get on the. I think what I'm going to do is between now and next September is see if I can get on the SoCal 500 first boards. And if they post up early enough that say they have a troop for that opening, might just have to fly across the country and troop
Yeah,
the
it wouldn't
opening
hurt.
of that. So I'm ramping up to 77 or 2027 to try to troop more in 2026 to get myself back into trooping mode for 1919 or 2027.
Nice.
So, but
So you've just been given the reins. You've been given permission to come up with some ideas for books, comics, Star Wars toys, collectibles. What would you want to see made that's not made?
well, I know what I've wanted for the longest time was I wanted action figures, and they've done it with other properties. I've wanted some Star Wars action figures, like let's just say an AT-AT, for example. I want a life scale AT-AT for a 3 3/4 inch figure, which means the back of it would be about 6 foot tall at the tallest point, right? But I would want it that you bought X amount of figures and got a part of it.
Okay.
And then once you got X amount of parts, you sent in those codes and you get like the main body. So say you have to buy like 20 rebel troopers, the drivers, this and that, and then you send in X amount of all these things, and then they send you the main body, but each one came with like a foot and a leg. Like I would say if I wanted to make a killer, that would be my pitch to Kenner is forget HasLabs, make it that someone doesn't have to shell out $500 and wait a year. Just, instead of giving us Boba Fett's giant rocket ship that doesn't look right, when you snap it on his back, give a half of an AT-AT foot when you buy a Boba Fett, or that would be mine. How about yours, Ken?
I got a couple. One, it would be, so a lot of these toys are that come with accessories by themselves. So you've got the character with a gun, or now they've been putting all these other random bits and bobs in there. You've got this little droid or this little knapsack or whatever. I would love to see some more accessory kits that can be used in building displays, building dioramas. I mean, there's enough Star Wars containers or tool sets or weapon racks or whatever. So they you can buy a box of boxes or buy
Yeah, yeah.
so you can fill out your shelves with these items that are scaled to these figures that are also in universe shapes. Because yes, I can cut out cardboard and make it look like a box and paint it up, but if they already have the designs and the 3D files for them, be able to make them for us.
Well, so
Uh,
remember Phantom Menace made a couple of those, remember?
yeah, they had the underwater ones, and then
And
there
then like
was
a poncho for like a Tatooine one, and I think they had a
yep,
Sith one. I still have
yeah,
those. I have the
yeah.
poncho one and the Sith one
Well, they
somewhere.
even had one that it was underwater animals, but it came in this weird pack, this gel pack that you had
Uh,
to cut open, and the things were inside the gel pack.
uh, hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so because I don't know if I would get into dioramas. I like watching people build the dioramas, but I am surprised they haven't done more of that, because that seems like an untapped market, because you're selling figures now. Like when you and I bought them, you just played the hell out of them until you lost them, fell apart or
Yep.
whatever. But now no one plays with them. They just do dioramas, and I am surprised that they haven't done more of just the affordable packs, not the giant
Yeah.
like Jabba's throne or anything, but I am
Well, even with
surprised.
that, so the Jabba the Hutt throne that came with dozens of cups and plates and foodstuffs to fill out that scene.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm
And
just
so if you look at things like Barbie dolls or Bratz dolls or whatever, yeah, you've got the dolls, you got the figures, but some of them like there's a Barbie astronaut or Barbie veterinarian, or you can buy this this outfit that she wore to the office and this outfit that she wore to the beach party or whatever. So it's all these little accessory kits that go with these, and you could even do two scales. You got the 3 3/4 inch scale and the 6 inch scale, and you've got these things that can be used to fill out the the diorama or the display aspect of these action figures
yeah.
that are still within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I'm just surprised they haven't done more of that, because you also have a Batu now where people can kind of get a feel for what they're going to do. Oh yeah, the micro machines. I forgot about those.
Demetrius worked on the micro machines when he was at Kenner.
So I that was one of my other, when I got back into, when we were talking, like I bought all, remember they came with the heads? It was like
Yep.
C3PO, Chewie, Boba Fett, and I had a whole wall of those. And then when they made the micro machine ships, I really like that line. The new ones they have out are pretty nice. Like I forget what
I
line
think it's
that
Mission Series.
series. That's a nice line. Though I think those lines kind of, some of those lines started killing like the Action Fleet. Remember, not Action Fleet. What was that game that you played with the ships?
Yeah, I don't
Battle
remember.
Fleet or something. They were really nice, but like one little tiny ship was like $25, but you could go buy a whole pack of micro machines for like $3 at Five Below or something like that.
Yep.
So that kind of, but I remember I all of those, like the games, especially, like now I'm like rethinking what kept Star Wars alive, and like West End games filled in a lot of years there when there was no Star Wars.
Well, as wild as this sounds, also the novels, the books.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the West End games where people were actually able to be active with it,
Yep.
but then there was the time fillers where they were able to go on this other adventure with Han Solo, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade, fill in the blank with the characters, um, and so that also helped keep it alive
Yeah.
when you weren't watching Star Wars Droids cartoons or whatever,
Yeah. And Ewoks cartoons
and the Ewoks cartoons.
and
The other
holiday.
thing, the other thing that I would do is I know that they've done it a little bit over history. That when the Star Wars originally came out, the behind the scenes, the making of, and they've done some of those with the sequel trilogy. But there's a whole lot of information about the making of those movies that we haven't heard, that
Yeah.
we
Oh
haven't
yeah.
read, that we haven't seen. Even if you take like the Solo movie,
Oh
you know,
yeah. Definitely.
started off with these two directors, and they got let go, and they got replaced by Ron Howard, and Tony Gilroy did some stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I will we used to play the Star Wars role playing system in my store, but I think we were also steeped in D&D that once you go one way, it's hard to go back. So because I used to play a bounty hunter Wookiee, but
Well,
yeah,
and
all of that stuff just kept things going. I think.
yeah, in the cargo hold, there would be space, for tabletop gaming.
Well, see, there we go. The Star Wars miniatures I like, but again, to go to the people that play Warhammer, Warhammer had the perfect system. And maybe it's not the perfect system, but for me, it was the first tabletop like war thing I played. That's what I learned. Same with D&D is probably not the perfect system. So it was always I wanted Star Wars. I wanted to play Star Wars so much compared to D&D, but I just kept falling back. On Zoe has whole stats and everything to convert D&D to Star Wars. So she has a whole game. She's just been begging for people to play someday, you know. But
And speaking of the holiday special, I think we're at the place in time where we could do another holiday special,
yeah,
another variety show in the Star Wars universe using the modern characters, modern artists, and do another variety show.
well, they kind of do that with the Lego. Chris, didn't they have a Lego holiday special?
They had a Lego holiday special, but there wasn't the music videos in it. There was,
Right.
but they did you're right. They've done a Halloween. I think it was like horror at Vader's Castle or something like that.
Yeah,
And
that's right. That's right.
they did a holiday special Lego version a couple years ago as well. But I'm talking, a full on in universe variety show.
Yeah. I was just looking here real quick. I wanted to see when you said the sequels, I wanted to see if there was any listings for the movie coming back into theaters.
Yeah, the only one I heard about was 27 with the New Hope.
Well, I heard rumors that they were going to re-release it for a week, but I'm just checking my Fandango, and I don't see anything listed. Man, it won't be Arthur. Well, I still think. Look, we pulled off the Empire Striketh Back. Maybe we need to make our own variety show. I can't sing though.
Yeah, but are you good at acrobats? Can you
No,
do tumbling?
no, I can't do that either.
What about like a sketch, like a skit?
If I had a helmet
Just
on,
think of all the stuff that Harvey Korman did in that show.
was he the guy with the? Did he play the one with the crater for a head?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was also the guy who did the instructional video on how to put together the little electronic board.
Yeah.
We could do a cantina scene,
Yeah.
or maybe it's not a cantina scene. Maybe it's a noodle bar scene.
No, yeah, it has. It should be a garage, and we can get Pelly, the woman that dresses as Pelly for.
You
I
bet.
think she's in Delaware.
How funny would it be where, somebody, she's working on a speeder and somebody else brings in a speeder to get her to fix it. And there's all these things like he opens up the hood and, 5 womp rats come crawling out, or opens up the trunk and there's a Jawa in there, or whatever,
Yeah, that's funny.
you know?
Here we go. Force Awakens 10th anniversary release. No official thing. Oh,
Force Awakens,
man.
10th anniversary. That would have been this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was checking to see if there was a 10th anniversary date.
Oh,
But I see nothing but the Star Wars Insider. No official theatrical release. So, I was hoping to see some Star Wars in the movie theater before the end of the year.
Oh, before the end of this year?
Yeah, before the end of this year, just to get me ready for Grogu and Grogu really just makes me want to do a custom Mando, and I'm trying to stick to my guns and not starting that until Vader's done. I'm
Fair
trying.
enough.
Yeah.
Well, we're rolling up on that 90-minute mark, my friend. I think this has been a full episode.
That was a good one. Again, if you haven't listened to our first act of Empire Striketh Back, it is up on our feed in our podcatcher, on Spotify. It is on our YouTube Live if you need to see us doing it. We are going to record the second act in January. I'm like Ken's idea with your Star Wars thing. It has my brain burning now, Ken.
The cargo hold
with Ken. But yeah, check that out. Check out other podcasts. Ken, where can people find you before we go?
You can find me sitting around the Dejarik table with the guys from Bantha Milk Podcast, bounty hunting across the galaxy with Todd and Ken, and then every so often I put out an episode of the Rambling Star Wars Fan, and all of those are on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and everything. And then you do a whole lot of stuff too.
You can find me here. You can find me CreatorCast occasionally. You can find me helping out Zoe with Star Wars Geek Girl. You can find Star Wars Geek Girl anywhere you find podcasts. And she's been on Steel Wars a couple times, which I highly recommend when you see any of the Steel Wars stuff. And hopefully you see me and Ken trooping around soon. I am wearing my official Galactic Empire hoodie. So Ken, when they come back around, you and I can't go see them this Friday, but we'll have to go see another one of theirs.
Absolutely. And thanks to Todd, Sue, and the crazy Hungarian who hung out with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And hopefully you had a nice, happy Life Day. I'm going to play one of our newer intros, outro, intro, who knows. We'll get this all down. By the time I get a new one, we'll probably have another host or something on there. We'll see. I had a dream that we had a third host the other day, but I couldn't tell who it was. That was my dream. So I don't know what that means. It just means I was thinking about podcasting too much. But just like this kid looking at the TIE fighter, it's time for us to go. So you guys all have a good week.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's let's raise the bar. Hey! 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 Hey, hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Hey! Hey! Left, right, left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable